What is going on, guys? It is WrestleMania here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including WWE forced a Century SmackDown segment, what happened after SmackDown went off the air, Alexa Bliss fires back at fan after a botch, a wrestler killed in a tragic hit and run, Donald Trump invests in TKO, did AEW drop the ball on Danhausen, Ric Flair suing his son, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive leads. But just before we get into the first story, we'd like to thank NordVPN for sponsoring this video, as Clash in Italy will be live this weekend and streaming live on ESPN in the US. And if you're residing in the US and you just want to watch all on your own account, you could do so with a VPN. So simply head over to nordvpn.com/WrestleMania and sign up today. As always, thank you for your support. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into our first story. Now, first story looks at WWE forced to censor SmackDown segment. This week's SmackDown opened up with Jade Cargill heading into the ring alongside Mishin and B-Fab, where she immediately set her sights on the WWE Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley. However, fans inside the Olympic Arena reportedly chanted for Ripley, drowning out much of Cargill's promo and creating one of the loudest crowd reactions of the night. But the situation escalated when Cargill fired back at the audience saying, "I'm so confused. Y'all act like I got something to prove. I don't ask for permission. I am Jade Cargill. I am a one of one. What you're mad about is just I do what I want." The response prompted the crowd to break up into a louder "shut the F up" chant. Now, because the episode aired live internationally on Netflix but on tape delay in the US via USA Network, viewers received two different experiences. The explicit chant was heard uncensored on Netflix, while WWE's production team muted portions of the crowd audio on the USA Network broadcast to keep the profanity off television. But even at the end, WWE were ready with the censor button, as a kid in the crowd was shouting "shut the F up" to Gunther during his promo at the end of the show. Luckily, they managed to bleep it out. But what happened after SmackDown went off the air? Well, Cody, Rhodes and Gunther came face-to-face on SmackDown this week, just 2 days before Clash in Italy. The heated confrontation closed the show with Gunther eventually walking away while Rhodes remained in the ring. However, the action didn't end when the broadcast went off the air, as fan footage that later surfaced online showed Gunther returning to the ring and attempting to blindside Rhodes from behind. The attack failed, however, as Rhodes spotted him coming, avoiding the ambush, and responded with a cross Rhodes. And that moment allowed the undisputed champion to stand tall in front of the Barcelona crowd just 48 hours before his title match against Gunther at Clash in Italy. However, who's going to be standing tall come Clash in Italy? Will it be the American Nightmare, or will it be the Ring General? Next up, a quick update on Jacob Fatu. Yesterday was reported that Jacob Fatu was legitimately injured at a WWE live event in Liverpool. This was following a street fight and his back was injured. And as such, there was worry that Jacob Fatu may not be able to make his match in Clash in Italy against Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Championship. However, Corey Hayes of False Finish has now provided an update saying they are under the assumption that Jacob will be fine by Sunday. In the case that Fatu is not fine, WWE is currently looking in potential pivots. However, if he's not fine, then who really takes his place? Next up, what is happening with Blake Monroe? Following WrestleMania 42, WWE aired a series of vignettes designed to introduce Blake Monroe to the audience. Last week, that rollout appeared to take its next step when Monroe finally showed up on television during a brief backstage interaction with Chelsea Green. But that's why this week's follow-up felt somewhat confusing. Rather than building on Monroe's first on-screen appearance, WWE went back to airing another pre-taped vignette promoting her as coming soon. The decision immediately raised questions about the company's direction for the character. Normally, once a talent has appeared on television, the expectation is that the rollout move forward. Instead, WWE returned to the same promotional message viewers had already been seeing for weeks. As a result, Monroe's backstage appearance now feels somewhat disconnected from the overall campaign. Whether the segment was intended as a soft introduction, a last-minute adjustment, or a simple part of a long-term plan remains unclear. Whatever the reason, the rollout currently feels inconsistent. Monroe's already been having dark matches on SmackDown, so why wasn't it the time finally in Barcelona to have her appear on television? She was in Barcelona, so it makes no sense. Next up, sad news as a wrestler has been killed in a tragic hit and run. The wrestling world is mourning the tragic loss of independent luchador Tempo, also known as El Amo del Tiempo, following a traffic accident in Mexico City. According to local reports, the 24-year-old wrestler was riding his motorcycle when he was struck by a cargo truck. The impact reportedly threw him into a nearby pickup truck, causing severe head injuries. Emergency responders quickly arrived at the scene, but despite their best efforts, he sadly succumbed to his injuries and passed away. Witnesses reportedly told authorities that the cargo truck was speeding and fled the scene immediately after the collision. The driver allegedly failed to stop, promoting an ongoing hit-and-run investigation. Authorities are currently reviewing surveillance footage from the area as the investigation continues. The tragedy is made even more heartbreaking after the fact that Tempo was reportedly on his way to a wrestling event in Coapa at the time of the accident, then scheduled to compete in the main event at a show promoted by Universal Lucha Company at the SMA venue. At just 24 years old, his life and promising wrestling career was cut tragically short. We at WrestleMania extend our deepest condolences to Tempo's family, friends, colleagues, and fans during this incredibly difficult time. Let's hope justice is brought and the driver is then found and prosecuted to the full extent. Next up, Donald Trump.